Assalamualaikum everyone, I am Fiza and today I am going to discuss about the DNA. So this is the learning objective of my discussion. In this discussion I am going to discuss about what is DNA, structure and the functions of the DNA. So what is DNA? Basically DNA stands for the deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is a molecule which is located inside the nucleus of the cell and its main job is to store and code the genetic information of the body. Now, if you see here that DNA has unique double helix shape like a twisted ladder. So next is the structure of the DNA. Now most of you are familiar with the double helix model of the DNA. If you untwist or unfold the double helix structure of the DNA, you can clearly see that the DNA is a two-stranded molecule which is polymer of the many repeating monomer unit known as nucleotide. Now this is a basic structure of the nucleotide. You can see that it carries the three important groups, the sugar, phosphate and the nitrogenesis bases. The sugar molecule which is present inside the nucleotide of the DNA is called the deoxyribose, which is a 5-carbon sugar, belongs to the pentose. And then we have the 4 different types of the nitrogens, which are the organic molecule contain the nitrogen in the form of the ring structure, are adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. Now since we have the 4 different type of the nitrogenesis bases, so we have the 4 different type of the nucleotide that are present inside the structure of the DNA. As you can see here that these 4 nucleotides are arranged into the 2 groups. The first group known as the pyrimidine, and they contain the nitrogenesis base thymine and the cytosine, which are both the single ring bases, and the second group known as the purine, and they contain the nitrogenesis base guanine and the adenine, which are both double ring bases. These 4 types of the nucleotides are joined together in a very complex way to form the double helix structure of the DNA. So now to understand the structure in the more detailed way, you have to understand that how the 2 nucleotides are joined together. So here as you can see that the nucleotides are attached together in the DNA structure by the phosphodiester bond, which show that every phosphate group connects with the 2 sugar. One binds with the 3rd carbon and the second binds with the 5th carbon sugar. So due to the bond forming between the sugar and the phosphate, it carries the sugar-phosphate backbone. This is basically represent the single strands of the DNA. Now the second thing you have to understand is that how the 2 strands of the DNA are joined together and form the 2-stranded molecule of the DNA. 2 strands of the DNA are joined together by the hydrogen bond, and in between these 2 strands of the DNA there is a key difference. To understand these key differences, you have to understand the concepts of the directionality and the complementary base pairing. Now the directionality means it is the end-to-end chemical orientation of the single strands of the DNA. Directionality of the DNA is expressed into the 2 ways, 5' to 3' and the 3' to the 5', which show that the 2 strands of the DNA are antiparallel to each other. The next important thing is the complementary base pairing, which describes the manner in which the nitrogenesis bases of the DNA align with each other. So it basically means the base adenine always pairs with the base thymine and the base guanine always pairs with the base cytosine. So this is all about the structure and the functions of the DNA which I discussed today, and thank you so much for listening me.